What's going on, fellow fans of Scream? Welcome to a new episode where today we're going to be looking at the 12 ghost faces that have appeared in every single Scream movie to date. And basically what I wanted to do today was assess what errors they made in their killing sprees that resulted in their defeat. So we're going to basically be judging serial killers and how we would have done it better. I wanted to delve into this because every Scream movie follows the same formula. There's a killer that's targeting either Sidney Prescott or more recently Sam Carpenter, and they have this overall plan for what they want to get out of it. So in the final act there's usually a big confrontation between the killers and the targets, which ultimately results in them being defeated. Now what I want to do is read between the lines of what causes this defeat, what mistakes they make that results in them dying, because believe me, these killers absolutely make errors during their killing sprees, and it's quite a fun topic to discuss. So we're looking at key moments that ultimately led to their downfall. These key moments can be subtle, they can be obvious, but let's see if you agree with my findings. But without further ado, let's dive straight into Scream 1996. My assessment of Billy and Stu is an interesting one. For the most part, I believe these two actually were quite thorough in their schemes and overall plan. Out of all the ghost faces that came afterwards, I think these two acted when they felt it was necessary and not because they simply wanted to. Their moves were almost like they were playing a psychological chess game with the police and Sidney, but they were eventually defeated at the end of the movie. But what was the key error that resulted in that downfall? I believe it lies in this one particular line.
Man, I thought she was dead.
She looked dead, man. Still does.
This line is so subtle and kind of hilarious that we, the audience, don't really appreciate how much this resulted in Billy and Stu's downfall. That simply, she looked dead by Stu and thus leaving Gale Weathers alive ultimately cost Billy and Stu. It's because of Gale these two became distracted enough to give Sidney enough time to disappear. Now some may argue it's leaving the gun on the table by the door, but if I'm honest here, if there was no gun, I still think Gale would have made herself known. It was presuming that Gale was alive that cost them their lives, as once Sidney had the upper hand, they pretty much lost. If I'd have been Stu, I'd have made sure Gale was definitely dead. How he would have done that is anyone's guess, but I definitely would have made sure she was dead. Moving on to Scream 2, I actually believe the error here wasn't a fault of Mickey Altieri's. I think had he remained in control of the situation, I'm not 100% sure it would have been a clear success. In my opinion, the error of defeat here was that Mrs. Loomis believed she could handle Sidney alone and killed Mickey too early.
There's not going to be a trial.
I think had they stuck together, the end result may have been a lot different, because everything they had planned had sort of transpired in the story. So if I were Mrs. Loomis, I wouldn't have killed Mickey until after Sidney was dead. Doing it before was the critical error she made in getting her results. So as we move on to Scream 3, this was a complicated one. I think Roman was very good at covering his tracks and also really did have the upper hand throughout most of the movie. So much so, when I was kind of assessing this one, I was genuinely surprised at how he left very little room for error. I think in one sense I could say he should have gone for a more direct approach at hunting Jennifer. I mean, I believe she absolutely was his next target, but he seemed to lose the pattern somewhat when she situated herself with Dewey and Gale. But there is one glaring thing that Roman did that did result in his defeat, and it actually is kind of obvious, but I'm still going to address it. So this moment here.
Lose something?
Found something.
When he shot Sidney and then shot a second time was the time he should have perhaps shot in a different spot, maybe the head. That's just something he didn't do, and that kind of resulted in her living, because if he'd have actually killed her in that moment, he likely could have dispatched Gale and Dewey afterwards, but because he didn't sort of finish her in the way he should have, she managed to turn the tables on him. So that to me was the critical error that Roman made. Now, a similar thing happened to Jill Roberts, which is interesting because they both shared blood, but one of the things that made Jill's plan fall apart was the fact that she also didn't make sure Sydney was dead. She assumed she died, but ultimately, the same as Roman, she underestimated her. Now, in the hospital afterwards, despite the sequence being quite action-packed, and Sydney stated it perfectly during that time for me, it felt like a desperate attempt on Jill's part to remain in control of the situation. But the fact is, the moment Sydney was alive, Jill had already lost. Even if she killed Sydney in the hospital, it doesn't take a genius to work out why that happened, especially if there was also 4 people that eventually showed up in that room. She'd already lost when she assumed that Sydney was dead at Kirby's house. If I was Jill Roberts, I would have made sure that she was dead. I probably would have given a more definite ending for Sydney before I begun the self-mutilation that she did. But she didn't, and therefore ended up becoming another one of the Ghostfaces that was defeated by Sydney Prescott. So let's move away from Sydney Prescott's story now and head more towards Sam Carpenter, or the Carpenter sisters. Now, this error here is something I'm not sure why it happened. I mean, I think I know, but it's an assumption at best. But basically the error here is that Amber didn't actually kill Tara, she just tied her up.
She's not here.
Fuck do you mean she's not here?
She's not here.
I'm tighter. Guess you're not as persuasive as you thought.
Now, genuinely speaking here, I'm not sure story-wise why this happened like that. I don't get what purpose Tara was going to serve in their overall plan that warranted them keeping her alive. The issue with that is that Amber had the upper hand easily. She was left with Tara alone, and Tara was in no fit state to fight back. So when that scene happened, when Amber was revealed and Sam ran off with Richie, she could have dispatched Tara here, there and then, and she didn't, which eventually resulted in Sam finding her, untying her, and then Tara created a distraction that caused the fight back scene. If I were Amber, I would have killed Tara there and then and moved the body afterwards. So moving on to Scream 6, this one was a really intriguing one because the error made here was actually one that genuinely could have been avoided, but the Bailey family still continued to allow the core 4 to believe they had some small amount of control, but that is where they messed up. This is the scene that ultimately led to their downfall.
Lure him to a secure location and trap him inside. Are you gonna help us?
The issue here was the way they allowed Sam and Tara mainly to lure the killers into the shrine, because when Sam and Tara were looking to fight back, they were surrounded by numerous items that could be weapons to fight them off. In a way, 3 of them against 2 should have been an easy win, but the location of where they took the fight is what led to their defeat. Quinn was knocked completely out by a brick. Sam and Tara moved around the items in the shrine frequently and even climbed up the theatre railings, so the situation on why they were being defeated was because of the location the core 4 chose. But remember that Detective Bailey gave them this location. He was fine with it being there. He allowed them to believe they had the upper hand, thinking he would turn the tables on them, but because of where it was, the reverse happened and the tables actually turned on the family instead. And that's pretty much it for all of the critical errors made by all the Ghostfaces who appeared in Scream 1 to 6. Do you agree with me? Was there any more errors that resulted in their downfalls? I'm kind of intrigued to know your thoughts because I do think these aren't overly obvious, but then we all interpret things differently. So is there anything you could add? Comment below. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, guys. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it, because that really helps out this channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.